We got football in focus from Teed Up Indoors on Battleground. Again, I told Kara today, I mentioned Kara Donor for school board. That's Kara Donor, school board. Don't forget her on Election Day, November 5th on Tuesday. And again, it's for District 5, Kara Donor. A lot of good things she's done. She'll do many more. She can get in office. We'll talk about her more than that. We got Hudson Cooper with us. Alex Cooper, Hudson Cooper, your dad, your granddad, your entire family, football people, sports people. I'll tell you what, the guy impressed me with sometimes your grandfather, because he's at all those games, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Well, your dad and your mom comes too. I was over at Kaiser. I think I met them a year or so back sometime. Talk about that Roseville game. Was it a Roseville game?
Yes,
the
sir.
Breakout game?
Yes, sir.
I mean, we'd heard of the Cooper family. Hadn't heard much about Hudson before that game.
Yeah.
Talk about what happened that night for you.
Well, I think just, having Mitch in the backfield, it opens it up for a lot of stuff. So Roseville loaded the box with a lot of people. So we were able to get the receivers pretty open down the field. That's why when you look at the highlights from it, it's almost like I'm always just wide open. There's nobody really there.
They forgot about you then.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
How long were the routes that night? How far downfield open were you?
One of them was an 81-yard touchdown, and there was nobody really there. And then another one was a 60-yard catch. He caught me on that one though. And then I had a 50-yard touchdown.
Can't beat that stuff. That's good stuff. Who are the team leaders on this team? I know Andre's a team leader and other team leaders
For sure.
Grimsley. Who are the leaders, do you think?
Bryce Davis is one of our biggest
don't forget
leaders.
him. Good one.
He's definitely stepped up this year for sure. Because last year we had, one of the biggest guys talking in the huddle was Alex. He would be the guy hyping us up. But this year it's Bryce, and I think he's doing a really good job of that. So, but yeah, I think a lot of our players have that leadership mentality. So I think that's definitely a benefit for our team, and that's a big reason why we're winning is because we all think that way.
What do you see out of Faison Brandon this year, maybe didn't see last year, as far as his improvement goes?
I think just being able to get the ball to everybody. I think his distribution. I know you had obviously Terrell and Alex, so you want to get them the ball a lot. But just the way that he gets it to all of us, I think is one of his biggest improvements.
That's
he even starting to throw into Mitch. So
yeah, I mentioned that on the show last year. We got to get that ball to Mitchell Summers out of the backfield, and it's working this year.
Yeah.
And the other back, Michael Williams, is starting to pick up the pace.
So I think one of the reasons that Weddington had we lost to them was because Mitch, he's one of the biggest, the most important players on our team. So when we give a high volume of carries to him, he gets real beat up down the road in the playoffs. So I think being able to have a guy like Micah come in and still be a really good running back, just to be able to kind of give Mitch a break and get us yards while we need them.
Now, receiver, when you're not out there on these pass routes and the ball's coming to you, talk about some things you do when you're not catching the ball. I know you're doing the blocking and other things. What are some of the responsibilities when you're not catching the ball? So,
a lot of times I'll have to grab the attention of the safety so that somebody can come under me, and then he'll be open because a lot of times I'll be kind of like a decoy, and I'll take a couple guys on the defense with me, and then it opens something up behind me, or just something. Like a lot of times I'll be at tight end H area, and then I'll have to kind of lead block for Mitch. That's one thing I do.
What have you done to become a better blocker? Because that's something the receivers are always working on.
I think blocking is just I think I've become one of my biggest problems earlier in the year was my physicality. I wasn't very physical with the people I was blocking. So, and also leverage is a big thing. Knowing where the ball is compared to your leverage on the guy you're blocking is really important.
What did you learn from Coach Whitehart and also from Coach Edwards over at Kaiser?
Those guys, that was the first time. So I played flag football since I was 5 years old. I was never allowed to play tackle. So that was the first time I ever played real football. And those guys taught me, just the basics of the game and kind of the right mindset. So that leadership mindset is one of the reasons I'm still thinking that way. Those guys are the first people that got it in there. So.
What about the backyard? Does your dad get the football and throw to you and your brother?
Yeah,
did you guys on drills?
So back in the day, we had a lot of backyard stuff. Kids in the neighborhood coming over, throwing around.
Have any tires back there you were throwing?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Kind of stuff? Yeah, good stuff. Now, if you could take Coach Brown and put him on the field, what position do you put Coach Darrell Brown at?
Quarterback. So when we're running scout team, a lot of the time he'll be the quarterback for a scout team offense, and he'll throw some dimes up in there. So.
He can still bring it then, I guess.
Oh, yeah, he can.
And if you could get some drills for him to do some extra work as far as the field, what extra work would you give him?
Oh, I'd love to see him run some gassers.
Do those gassers in. Yeah, that would be some fun things for the team.
Yeah.
What about Northern Guilford? What does Grimsley need to do to beat Northern Guilford and take care of business?
I think the biggest thing for us is just continuing to approach everybody the same that we've been doing it, because obviously, that's been working for us, and as long as we continue to do what we've been doing the entire year, I think we'll be fine and handle our business.
How do you make sure this doesn't get old? Because you've won all these games the past few years. Grimsley's been conference champs now probably 4 or 5 years in a row.
Last year, I watched it from a little bit of a different perspective. I played both. I played varsity and JV.
Right.
So I was able to observe kind of the varsity side a little bit from not an outsider, but just kind of, I wasn't one of the main guys, obviously.
Right.
So I think just as guys have started, ever since we've become in the past 5-6 years, winning the conference championships and all that, each year we build off of the past. Those guys that set that foundation in 2019, 2020.
Right.
Ever since then, we've had the same
This year's like
mindset.
your team this year. This is yours. This is your time to make your
exactly.
statement. Junior this year?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you got 2 years to do it in the rest of this year and next year. So you're going to make that. How tall are you now?
I'm 5'11".
5'11". Do you play any basketball?
I used to.
Yeah, Alex played, didn't he?
Yes,
Is
he
he
did.
still
we
playing?
both played at Kaiser.
Played
Yeah.
at Kaiser,
I don't
gotcha.
think he knows what he's going to do yet, but we'll see.
Yeah. Is it kind of fun having your brother up on the team? You know?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
This is the first week he's been up, so yeah, but I definitely do enjoy it.
I guess the practice is a little bit different, bringing those JV guys.
Yeah,
up.
definitely. Yeah.
Those guys indoctrinated. I mean, the practices are probably a lot alike anyway, but to get those guys involved is probably more important.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most beneficial things for them is just kind of when they watch it from that perspective that I had last year, kind of watch our playoff run and stuff, they can learn that leadership mindset and what everybody else is doing on the field.
And tonight they've got Northern, I guess, at Northern, right?
Yes, sir.
That'll be their last JV game.
Yes, sir.
Are they going to play a game? That was a talk, maybe you don't know this, but the talk one time was, we've got that open week next week. Let's try to get an extra JV game in. Is anybody doing that?
I don't think so. I don't think that's – I think we're going to a lot of our guys are beat up.
Just incorporate the guys that come to varsity and go forward.
Yeah.
And Grimsley does not want a game next week. You guys want to have the week off to get ready.
Yes, exactly.
So
We
no
wanna prepare.
Grimsley Dudley game next week. We got to
No,
make sure that
sir.
game is not going to happen. We talked about the Grimsley Dudley game.
Yes, sir.
That
Yeah,
would
it
be
is
an
something.
interesting game.
It definitely would. I think that'd be a really fun experience.
And it would have to be this year's edition because Dudley has those outstanding receivers now.
Yeah,
so you
for
want to
sure.
play them this year when they're at their best.
Definitely.
Would make it the most important type thing.
I think that would be like I mean, if it was like an exhibition game or something that. I think that would be really
play it
fun.
at
I think
Page
a lot of the people in the city would be
Played
there.
at Page on a neutral field on the turf, no matter what the game's going to be.
Yeah, maybe even like A&C's field or something.
yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Boy, if you could go back, I mean, I always tell these guys to show the memories back when Dudley and Smith would play at A&T years ago on that field. They'd have 20,000 high school fans watching that game. It was just
Yeah, it would be amazing playing that game. But
Well, who do you think is the best player to come out of Grimsley? You go with some ones we mentioned already. Best player to come through
best
Grimsley
player.
over the years.
I think every year there's a handful of guys that leave their mark when they're just. I mean, probably DJ Reader.
He left a big mark.
Yeah, he's the guy.
And the weird thing was,
down
though,
there,
DJ did not have great seasons as a Grimsley player. I mean, they struggled back then.
Yeah, I mean, I think before Coach Brown got there, it was definitely a different. Page fans will talk about that all the time.
Oh,
They'll talk about how
Wish
it used to be
they'd
the
love
other
to
way
have
around.
those days back, and they
Used
could
to be the
relive
other
those
way
days.
around. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, they're working hard at Page to get better, but they're still, I wouldn't say
Yeah.
light years away. They're very far away from what you guys are right now, the way
Yeah,
the program has
for
developed
sure.
over the
Yeah.
years. So DJ, and you got to give Coach Albright probably.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think there's so many guys like players, coaches, just everybody. There's been, I mean, I've only been here obviously 3 years, and coaches have left, and they've like had an impact on everybody. I mean, there's been a lot of people from.
Why do you like? We mentioned earlier, telling the guys and asking the guys about Niall Harris, the defensive back coach. What about Niall
I think
coming
so.
in?
So our old corner coach, Coach Jones, he just he went back to school this year, so he wasn't able to come back with us. But Coach Jones is more like a hype guy.
Yeah.
And he was still a great corner coach. But I think with just Coach Harris, it's very different. I don't think there's any better coach like that, but I just think it's a very different perspective.
More
when
of
it
a
comes to
teaching
that.
education
Yes,
type thing?
yes. And I like Coach Harris. Coach Harris is a great guy. I like him a lot.
Well, what's your pregame meal? What are you putting on the table before the game?
Whatever we have pregame, we'll have like some subs or what do we have?
Sometimes some
tacos, pasta, yeah.
Right. And your post-game meal is going to be down the street?
Cookout, yep.
Cookout down at Westridge. Got to stop in there. How about the morning of the game, the day before, that morning, Friday
Got to
morning?
have, I mean, either the Chick-fil-A, a biscuit or something, or I'll make some eggs or something like
Do you
that.
grab it on the way to school or get something at home?
I'll make the egg sandwich myself, but I'll go on the way to school.
Stop and grab the
Chick-fil-A and
Chick-fil-A.
stuff, yeah.
What will be your big play in the game tomorrow night? I mean, are you not injured now? You're ready to go right now, right? You're all good now?
I mean, we're going to see. It's kind of like a
Day to day?
We'll see, yeah. We'll
Game
see.
time decision, as Coach would say?
Yeah, we'll see.
See what happens?
Yeah.
So as far as that goes, getting ready for that tomorrow, tell us what you got to do to beat Northern Guilford. What has to happen for Grimsley to win that conference championship for another year?
I think just for us not to change anything, not to play. One of our things is just we tend, if we are for some reason struggling in a game, most of the time it's because we're not ourselves. So as long as we keep in our same mindset as a team and stay together, discipline, I think we'll be good.
So there's no question you are playing Northern Guilford, but you guys are more concerned about Grimsley than
Yes,
you are
sir.
Northern.
Always.
Take
Yes,
care
sir.
of Grimsley's
Always.
business. And back to that play, what was your key play? They put you in the game, late in the game, we got to have you. You might
Yes,
be
sir.
partly injured. Get in there, get us a big play.
I would say one of those, like at Roseville, man coverage, no safety over top, beat the guy right in front of you and get the ball.
How do you keep getting your speed better? How do you improve the speed so you get
So
faster?
speed training in the spring.
Oh, yeah.
We got so spring ball we'll have like on a separate field we'll have like a bunch of like the speed with sleds behind us. We'll pull some stuff like that, and then we'll get into like the real spring ball
Do you
stuff.
go to any kind of personal trainer? Or anything?
Yes, sir. I go up to Prolific Park.
Oh, with Ricky Pro?
Yes, sir.
Saw him this week. Saw Ricky this week.
Yes,
Good
sir.
deal. Yeah, they do good work up there.
Yeah, for sure.
But you can't, if you're a receiver, all you got to do is just walk behind him every day. Just say, hey,
Oh yeah,
where your foot, I'll do the
that
same
dude
thing you're doing.
knows,
Yeah.
with all his experience, he's amazing.
He had those two sons, Austin and Blake, were good receivers
Yes,
too.
sir. Yes,
and
they
that
were.
nephew, ever heard of Ford Moser? Had his nephew too. Ford Moser did pretty good at East Carolina. So good family members. Your dad, your mom, your grandfather support you guys good. Keep
Yes,
up
sir.
the good work.
Thank
good
you.
to see you.
You too.
Hudson Cooper, we'll call him Huddy because there was a guy named Rex Hudler played for the Greensboro Hornets many years ago. Huddy did pretty well, so this Huddy might do well
sir.
too. Thanks for being with us.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you guys taking time out of your night to come over.
Yeah, of course.